Artist Behind the Music Aussie series. Today we have Chelsea Berman with us. Thank you so much for joining us.
No, thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited.
Absolutely. Well, this is so much fun connecting all the way overseas. It's great to have you here. I'm excited to chat, get to know you a little bit more, and hear you play a couple songs for us later. So let's
Awesome.
dive into who you are and what got you started in the music industry.
Yeah, so I've been singing since I was very little, as most musicians do. But yeah, I definitely didn't start out kind of in the country space. I'm a country musician now, but I started out actually in jazz and then I kind of moved to musical theatre and then pop, and I've done a bit of everything. But I finally found my calling in country music, which was really exciting. And yeah, pretty much since then, I've been releasing music, I've been touring, playing shows around Australia, and it's been awesome and really a dream come true. So yeah, I definitely went through kind of some struggles. I was used to be in a duo with another friend of mine, so I was doing that for quite a while, and really I was always finding myself to be the one that was more dedicated to it and really wanted to make a career out of it. So it was really interesting when I went solo to really be by myself in the process and, you know, on stage, because it's so different to being with someone else to then being by yourself. So it was a bit of a struggle, but it's been a few years now, and yeah, I'm loving every second of it.
That's awesome. And it's so interesting. It's when you're in a band or a duo, you do have a different working dynamic and a different performance dynamic. And as much as it's still the same industry, it's a very different way of working and performing.
Yeah.
So that is very interesting. Was that a country as well, or was that a different genre?
Yeah, it was a bit of, it kind of started out kind of pop, folk, and then when I really got into country, I kind of moved us into the country space. But again, I think I was always the one that was most interested in country, and they were more on the pop side. So I was trying to push it, but yeah, it didn't really get anywhere.
Yeah. And then when did you decide it was time to split from being a duo? And how did you make that transition? And like just some advice for other people maybe that are in bands that are going through a transition or a time, anything that you have.
Yeah. Yeah, so it kind of happened quite naturally. At the time, it was we were both leaving school, high school. So we were finishing up with school and we were kind of going different directions. I was going to university at the time. And yeah, we just weren't going to be able to kind of, I guess, see each other as much and really work on it, because I guess it is quite a lot more work, especially when you are in a duo or a band, because you always have to practice together. You have to make sure you're all on the same page. Whereas when you're by yourself, you can kind of do whatever you want, which sometimes works out, sometimes doesn't. But yeah, it was quite scary going into the solo space again, because you kind of are all alone in it. You have to make all the decisions. You're on stage alone, which I found really scary and still do. I always like to be with kind of other musicians or someone else on stage with me, because I do find it quite weird just being on stage by myself, and it makes me a lot more nervous. So it definitely was a bit of a transition, but my advice would be just to feel confident in your own abilities. Obviously, there's a reason why you're going solo, and that's usually because you have a real dedication to it and you know that you can really make it on your own, and you're really willing to work really hard to do it. So, yeah, be confident in that, and practice. Practice makes perfect.
Practice is so important. Do
Yeah.
you enjoy practicing, or do you feel like that's something that you really have to work at and putting time into scheduling?
Yeah, I don't enjoy practicing and I'm quite bad at it, to be honest.
Not alone.
Yeah, I think that's probably a lot of musicians. Some are amazing and they practice all the time, and
Yeah.
it shows in their performances and their musician ability. But yeah, I definitely have to work at practicing, and I don't do it as much as I should, which is bad.
What kind of practicing routines do you set up to, create that schedule when you need to?
Yeah, so I actually am just getting back into gigging again, because obviously COVID, there's been quite a big gap between my gigs. My last gig was in February, so I've had to start practicing again because I haven't played for so long. So I just kind of put it in my calendar, made it a time, a non-negotiable time that I need to practice and kind of go through the set for a specific gig. So I'm doing that for the next few weeks to get ready to get back into gigging, and hopefully that will help.
Yeah, that's for sure. Just scheduling the time, I find for anything that you don't maybe necessarily really want to do, if you
Yeah.
put it down in your day timer or your phone or whatever you use to schedule your time, then you just have to, right? Like you said, it's a
Yeah.
non-negotiable. Like that's just what's happening at that time. It's like an appointment. right?
Yeah,
You can't
exactly.
get out of it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So you mentioned you find it very intimidating to be on stage by yourself. Do you have
Mm.
any tools that you use to mentally process that feeling or to work through that while you're on stage? Because sometimes, that's unavoidable, especially as a solo artist. Sometimes you have to just show up with your instrument and rock it out.
Yeah, I guess my main tool has been trying to find the fun side of things and really trying to have fun, rather than, I guess, think about the seriousness of it and thinking about messing up or forgetting the words or doing something wrong or saying the wrong thing. So yeah, I guess I try to think about the positives and that I'm just going to go out there and have a heap of fun because I always do. Performing is so much fun for most musicians. So yeah, I kind of try to think about it like that and think about how much fun I'm going to have after I get over that initial stage. And I always get over that initial stage of nervousness. It's just kind of, I think you get in your own head before you go on stage and you just overthink things and get nervous. But once you're actually on stage, it usually goes away and you usually have a lot of fun. So that's what I try and think about.
No, that's great. Do you have any pre-show rituals that you like to do?
Not really. I always make sure that I go to the bathroom because I always get really nervous and feel like I need to do a nervous pee before every performance, even if I don't need to usually. So usually I just make sure I do that so I don't have to, run off stage suddenly because that wouldn't be good. And yeah, I just
I
kind
always
of,
wonder about that. Like, what if that happened? What would you
I
do?
know, I don't even know what I do. I don't know. So yeah, always try and make sure I'm organized and prepared.
That's smart.
But yeah, I think if I'm by myself, it's obviously a bit harder because it's harder to kind of pump yourself up rather than when you're with your guitarist or a musician and you can kind of pump each other up. That's what I always really like to do if I am with someone else. But by myself, it's a bit trickier to kind of get pumped up, but I try my best. But yeah, not really a specific ritual that I know of yet, but hopefully I'll be able to find one soon because that would really help.
I always love meditating before going on stage. It's something I always like. Just take a minute, 2 minutes, more if I can, and just here are my affirmations for the day. Run through those guys. That always helps me for sure.
Yeah, I'll have to try that out because that sounds very relaxing.
Meditation is medicine. It's so good
Mm,
for you. And movement, music, meditation. Those are my medicines in life.
love that.
You were in the Toyota Star Maker. You were a finalist in that program. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what that looked like and what that program's all about?
Yeah, so it's basically a competition and a big country music festival we have in Australia, pretty much the biggest one in Australia that everyone knows about and everyone attends. And it's been cancelled for next year, which is very sad. But anyway, I'll think about the positive side of things. Yeah, but yeah, no, so I was a finalist in that competition in 2019 and it was really an amazing opportunity and something that I didn't think I'd be able to do so soon in starting my career in the country industry. So yeah, I'd always watched the competition growing up and I'd seen amazing artists in the finals and yeah, I always thought that I might be on that stage one day in that competition, but again, never thought so soon. So when I did get accepted into the finals, it was really, yeah, kind of pinch me moment. But yeah, it was so much fun. Again, I was very nervous for that because I did have a band behind me, but I was, by myself. But kind of when I got on stage, all the nervousness just went away and I just had a lot of fun. And it was, yeah, a really awesome opportunity.
For sure. Do you find a different energy when you're performing in a contest over just a regular performance?
Yeah, definitely more nerve-wracking in a contest, I find and not always as fun, just because there is that pressure of the contest kind of in the back of your mind. And I think sometimes I try, I guess, to put on more of a performance in the contest because, you're being judged on your performance, your musicianship, all of that. So I do maybe try a bit harder on that side of things in the competitions, whereas when I'm just performing live at a gig, I just try to have fun and just, jam out. So yeah, definitely a bit of a different dynamic, I find.
It's an interesting mindset shift,
Mm.
right? When you're doing something that has more pressure than just like, playing music for yourself. It's like all of a sudden that brain just shifts into a different energy. And like, how can we work on allowing just our authentic musical selves to just be what they are, whether you're in front of one person or a million people or a contest or a coffee shop, It's so
Yeah.
interesting to me, that whole mindset shift and journey through music. But
Yeah.
you just show up and do the best you can in every situation that we're given, right?
Yes, that's very true.
So you are a songwriter as well. Do you have a favorite way you like to co-write or songwrite on your own? Do you have a preference if it's with other people or by yourself, or a certain strategy you go about songwriting?
Yeah, so I always used to prefer doing it by myself, but then I kind of got more into co-writing, writing with, amazing songwriters, and now that's definitely my preference just because you have someone to bounce ideas off. You don't get that kind of writer's block, or sometimes you do, but it's much harder, with someone else or multiple people in the room. So I really, really enjoy co-writing, and that's where I find some of my best songs have definitely come from. In terms of a process, I always like to have an idea before I kind of start songwriting. I can never just kind of start something without having an idea or something that I want to write about. So I always have an idea, and then usually I probably have a few kind of lyric ideas and where I kind of want the song to go. And I find sometimes I have a place where I want the song to go, but when I kind of get in the room with co-writers, that can change, and that's really cool because it can kind of take on a different perspective and direction. And usually I start with probably the melody first, and the kind of chords that go underneath it. I do play guitar, but very basic guitar, so my chords are always quite basic when I write by myself. But
That's okay.
another benefit of co-writing because they can bring some fancier guitar parts to them.
I'm with you.
Yeah, but yeah, it's really, really so much fun co-writing, and it's not really, I guess, the same over Zoom. I have been doing a bit of Zoom writing, as I'm sure you have as well, over the past few months. But I'm keen to, yeah, kind of get back in that room with someone and kind of be able to bounce energies off each other because you can't really always do that over the internet.
So true. It is a different vibe through a screen, but you know what? I'm so grateful that we have this capability to connect with people all over the world, especially in this insane COVID time. So, how did your world kind of shift as quarantine started for you?
Yeah, so I guess all of a sudden, obviously, all my gigs got cancelled. I was also supposed to be going to Nashville in June this year. That was all booked, all organised. And I was being quite optimistic about that until kind of a few weeks before, and then I kind of just knew that it was never going to happen. So that was, yeah, that was quite sad. And yeah, I was really just trying not to think about how sad I actually was about it because just because that was my first time going, and I'd thought about it for so long, planned it all perfectly. I'm a very organized person, so I kind of planned everything to a T. But yeah, so that obviously got cancelled, which was quite sad. But I guess looking on the positive side of things, it did allow me to be really creative, get back in the studio, get back writing. I've been recording and writing a lot this year, more than I probably usually would. So that's definitely been a positive of it, that I've kind of had the time to be able to do that and haven't been, traveling or out on the road or playing live. But yeah, I'm definitely keen to get back to playing live. It's only a few weeks now until I have my first gig back. So very excited for that.
Yeah, that's super exciting. And you've released a couple songs during this COVID experience. How was it releasing new music in this new way of putting music out to the world?
Yeah, so it was obviously quite different because you can't kind of play them live. You can't do a live launch of the songs or anything like that, or kind of introduce them to people at gigs. So it was definitely a bit different, and I had to use social media a lot to really connect with my supporters and new audiences. So yeah, very grateful that I did have that technology and social media to be able to do that because otherwise I have no idea what we would have done. But yeah, it was cool to be able to release songs in this kind of place where I guess people were lacking that music and creativity in the arts because they couldn't kind of go out and get it live. So it was good to be able to kind of bring some of that to people, and I think people really appreciated that because they hadn't had it for so long. So now that they kind of could have it, they were lapping it up, which was awesome.
Absolutely. Do you have a favorite song that you really have released so far?
Oh, that's a hard one. I don't think I have a favorite. Obviously, I always like playing kind of the newer ones because they're newer and I haven't played them as much, which I'm sure that's most musicians have that same perspective. But I think one of the ones that I really love playing is one that I released last year, and it's called Wherever I Go. And it's really probably the song that I've written that most relates to me. It was all about leaving home. I have a really great relationship with my parents. I'm an only child, so didn't really have a choice but to have a good relationship with my parents. But yeah, and that kind of talks about leaving home for the first time and all the emotions that go with that. So whenever I play that, it really means a lot to me, and it's really heartfelt. So I'd say that's probably might be my favorite.
Nice, nice. Well, speaking of your music, I'm excited to hear you play. If you want to pull up your guitar
Sure,
and entertain us a little bit.
sure, I will. Hopefully,
Got like
it's
a
something that
magic
I'll.
guitar going on.
Yeah, it goes a bit weird with the virtual background that I have on, but we'll work with it.
Like it. That's cool. It adds some like CGI effects.
Yeah, magic. Awesome. So yeah, this first song is called "Can You Just Not," and it is one of the new ones that I released this year. It's a very sassy song, and I hope you like it.
Yeah.
Throughout the mixtape from our high school days, we almost wore out on that summer break. Throughout your ball cap and your faded tee with that old shoebox full of memories. When I see you around, I know how it goes down. It's like I know your every move. I walk in, you walk up, and damn, here we go again. You're so desperate, but I'm so done, and you know, just say no again. You can bitch, you can moan, you can blow on my phone, but there ain't no way you're taking me home. So before you take another shot, can you just not? I left your spare key at your front door, 'cause I don't need it, won't need it anymore. I left your CK and your promise ring before I left you, and didn't feel a thing. When I see you now, I know how this turns out, 'cause you do what you always do. I walk in, you walk up, and down, here we go again. You're so desperate, but I'm so done, and you know, just say no again. You can bitch, you can moan, you can blow on my phone, but there ain't no way you're taking me home. So before you take another shot, can you just leave it alone? Can you just move on? Know that I'm already gone. All the lying, the cheating just got to me, and better off on my own. I see you around, I know how it goes down. It's like I know your every move. I walk in, you walk up, and down, here we go again. You're so desperate, but I'm so done, and you know, just say no again. You can bitch, you can moan, you can blow on my phone, but there ain't no way you're taking me home. So before you take another shot, before you take another shot, oh, before you take another shot, can you just not?
I love that song. It's so sassy and cute, and it's really good.
I know, very sassy. I always feel mean singing it sometimes, but
You're so sweet, though. You can't feel mean.
thank you.
Can't feel mean. That's a great, great song. And you just released that one in the summertime, right?
Yeah. So the start of this year, it was going to be later in the year after Nashville, but yeah, I guess I could move everything up. That was a positive of not going to Nashville. So
Totally. Well, I guess that would have been wintertime for you.
yeah, so when I was going over to Nashville, it was going to be wintertime here, and yeah, summertime over there. So yeah, I was going to get away from the cold, which would have been nice.
But you're moving into summertime now, so you got that beautiful Australian heat coming your way. So.
Yes, it's been really bad weather this week, but I'm waiting for the warmth to come back.
Aw, it's coming, I promise. That's awesome. What other song do you have for us tonight?
Yes, so the next one is a bit of a slower one. This is my most recent release, which I released about a month ago, and it's called Your Call, and it's all about being someone's second choice or someone's plan B in life. So, yeah, relatable but sad.
Yeah. Pulls at the heartstrings.
Yeah, but yeah, I hope you like this one too. Drink another beer, get a little drunk, then I might be someone that you want tonight. Place is clearing out, music's turned down. Guess it's time that you call me to come around. I know I should know better. It always ends the same, but I only got myself to blame. And here I am, and I know that you know Prince Charming, and you will leave me first thing in the morning. Once again, I'm gonna be your plan B, just another number on your screen. But having a body there is better, having nobody there at all. And I'll be here waiting for your call. It's your call. Find another girl, I'll watch it fall apart. Still another piece of my broken heart. Put it back together, even for a night. Why does something so wrong feel so right? I know I should know better. It always ends the same, but I only got myself to blame. And here I am, and I know that you know Prince Charming, and you will leave me first thing in the morning. Once again, I'm gonna be your plan B, just another number on your screen. But having a body there is better, having nobody there at all. And I'll be here waiting for your call. It's your call. Oh, what if I'm out late one night and I'm the one to dial? Would you pick up or ignore it, or pretend you never saw it? Is this a two-way conversation, or just a game you're playing? 'Cause I want more, but I guess that's your call. And here I am, and I know that you know Prince Charming, and you will leave me first thing in the morning. Oh, once again, I'm gonna be your plan B, just another number on your screen. But having a body there is better, having nobody there at all. And I'll be here waiting for your call. It's your call. Thank you.
Beautiful song. The lyrics in that are so brilliant. I
Thank
love
you.
the play on words with your call. Like, it's your call, but you're the one calling. I love that. It's such a great
Thank you so
song.
much. Yeah, that was my thing to write. And yeah, something really beautiful came out of it. But yeah, it's very different to obviously the other song that I just played. So it's good, I think, to be able to show different sides of ourselves as artists.
I agree completely. Do you have a favorite style? Like, do you prefer singing more upbeat songs or slower songs? Do you have a preference?
Not really, no. I think I like, yeah, a bit of a mix. So yeah, I try write some fast songs, some slow songs, so I get to have that mix. Yeah, I don't really have a preference.
Oh, that's awesome. And then when you're writing, do you have one style that comes easier than the other?
Probably fast comes easier because I think they don't have to be as emotional or as well written. But I think once you get into slower songs, you really have to bring those emotions out and that vulnerability. So they're a bit trickier to write, but I always love the finished product.
Yeah, they expose the wounds, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I always like to finish off with this question. If you had one message to share with the world, what would that be?
Oh, good question. I'm very big on confidence and finding confidence within yourself, and it's something I've struggled with and still struggle with all the time. So, yeah, I think being confident in yourself and really not caring so much about what other people think is something I think everyone should learn, and everyone should love themselves and really be grateful for who they are, what they've achieved, and what they can achieve. So, yeah, I think that would be my message.
I think that's a beautiful message. Love yourself with confidence. Perfect.
Yes.
Chelsea, thanks so much for taking time out of your day to hang out and share your stories and your music with all of us. It's been really nice getting to know you and hearing more about who you are.
No, thank you so much for having me. It's been a blast. And yeah, hopefully I'll be able to see you in person one day soon.
I hope so. As soon as we can like travel safely again, I'm on the first flight to Australia.
Yeah, I hope so.
And the door is always open here too.
Oh, awesome. Thank you.
But come in the summertime. So next.
Yeah. Yeah. Good
It's cool. No, I can. That's awesome, Chelsea. Thank you again so much.